So while we are still on this topic, एक और चीज़ की बात करना चाहूँगा वो है कुंभ. And let me share my own experience. I was born in Dehradun. I was very very young. We went to a kumbh in Haridwar at the time, and I actually got lost. जैसे movies में दिखाते हैं, actually खो गया था कुंभ में. And then one of the officers, kind of police officers, put me on his shoulder. I was crying, तो मुझे बिठा लिया, and was roaming around. And my grandfather noticed me, and somehow I kind of got saved because of that. उसके बाद I went to Kumbh अभी in 2019, the Prayagraj Kumbh, which was a big Bhavya Kumbh, Divya Kumbh. That was a theme. I was really impressed with the way it was conducted. The sanitation, the way that was managed, Swachh Bharat was at its kind of peak at the time. The way sanitation was done, the kind of infrastructure that was there, the lost and found mechanism, the security, the way police was managing. There was a command and control room. We were like so many tent cities of all kinds that were created. Massive, I think the area was also spread out. It was really impressive of how the largest congregation in the world gets managed and can be managed. What I want to understand from you कि पिछले वाले कुंभ पे एक बार आते हैं, but in general, how does Kumbh gets managed? You've been again, you were tourism in the tourism department at that point in time. You've also seen Kumbh, you said in 1989 but what's the way? It's a temporary almost city or a temporary district that gets created. Just if you could explain how Kumbh management happens a little bit, and then I'll come to specifically the last Kumbh.
Well, you know that these events are organized every 6 years. And Kumbh per se is an area which is notified every time the Kumbh happens as a separate new district with a new police and a new administrative district. Separate officers are appointed with the legal powers to operate within that district. It is on the bank of the Yamuna and the Ganga. The very first aspect about the Kumbh is to make a plan for the movement of the crowd to the Sangam area of the Prayagraj district. So the first aspect about is to plan for the movement of the crowds. The movement is by road or by rail or by air now. Air has become very popular. So all three mechanisms are there for people to arrive. And obviously this entire movement of people happens over a period of time. There are various auspicious days when the crowd is Shahi Snan and others, where the crowd becomes the highest because it is most auspicious then. So one is the planning for the movement of the crowd. Obviously with the planning for the movement of the crowd comes the planning for the infrastructure, which means the approach road for the railway infrastructures also, the approach road for the air infrastructure, and then for the stay of the pilgrims who come for the Kumbh. And then of course the infrastructure to bring the crowd movement to the point where the actual bathing happens, providing infrastructure on the river in the sense of these various ferries and boats and patrol boats that there are in place. Then the infrastructure of the police which comes in place, the infrastructure for the various sanitary inputs which have to be brought in place, the toilets which are bio-toilets and others which have to be brought in place, then the infrastructure for tourism, for information counters, for the infrastructure for the various exhibitions, the cultural programs which happen, the infrastructure for the various akhadas that happens there. So that is the second part of the campaign for Kumbh. So the planning for this starts almost a year and a half, almost 2 years in advance for whatever Kumbh happens. So we have seen quite a few Kumbhs. I have personally been on the ground, as I told you, on 89. And then in the power sector, when we were there, we were doing our bit on the electrification of the Kumbh areas twice in the various Kumbhs. And then of course in 2019, we were part of the Tourism and Information Department, where we chipped in our inputs for the tourism and the information infrastructure for the Kumbh area. We saw the Kumbh very closely under the guidance of the Honorable Chief Minister. The Kumbh happened extremely well. And you all know that UNESCO has recognized this as the largest crowd which happens in humanity. And this is a self-sustaining crowd. Nobody gives any invitation. People come on their own. So this is what is Kumbh all about. It is a massive exercise.
Yes.
And what is noteworthy is that this time more than 25 crore people came to Kumbh, and not a single incident happened on the ground. And a large number of social activities also happened. Eye relief camps were organized, health camps were organized, large number of social activities of helping the poor also happened on the ground, old people happened on the ground. So all of it happened. Tourism, we had new aspects. A lot of international tourism also happened. I met a couple from Australia who were staying with us in the government tourist accommodation. They were very happy. One of the person, the husband was a photographer, and he had been on earlier Kumbhs also. And he told me that this time it was a very well organized, very systematic Kumbh. So things have happened very well. Things are good. And again, the Kumbh is now going to be there in 2025. Branding of Kumbh has to happen. The highlighting of Kumbh has to happen. And the infrastructure again, every time becomes more intricate and more sophisticated. So this time again, the work has started. And very able officers have been put in command to ensure that Kumbh happens positively again in the next 2025 year.
Yeah. It is really fascinating from an administrative perspective also that this almost a 76th district, that's UPS 75 district or 76th district get created in the run up to Kumbh, and it runs like a proper district with subdivisions, SDMs, with SP, all of that. How do you estimate the number of people when these numbers which we hear? How do you even estimating people coming from all sides? There's no.
Well, of course, this time the police used drones to calculate the head count in a very broad fashion from the air. They also used artificial intelligence to see from the checkpoints how the movement of the crowds happen. They have seen the numbers which happened earlier. So it's an estimate. So we can only give an estimate on the ground. Obviously, each head count is not possible. But what I would also like to tell you is that the Defense Ministry also this time in Kumbh provided all the infrastructure, and they opened up the fort where the banyan tree was made available for the public to view. So this again was a major milestone for us, and this Kumbh people could actually pay their respects to some of the oldest things around the Kumbh Mela.